I lied. I had a lot of tequila before you came. Okay.
All right. We're getting the truth.
What up, y'all? It's Farokh, Rock Radio. We're at the Art House in Miami, and I'm joined by the one and only, the co-father of the CryptoPunks. It took me 4 years to get this interview, Matt, and of course, the wonderful Natalie Stone. How y'all doing today? Good night.
Good.
Good night. I don't know what time it is anymore.
Yeah, no, I haven't known what time it is for, I think, now a week straight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very relatable.
Yeah.
Yeah. How you doing, Natalie?
I'm doing good. I'm just happy to be here.
Y'all on quite the tour right now. You're like busy.
Yeah. We got a book. It's all legit, you know.
We're on a book tour.
We're on a book tour. Yeah.
I just noticed, actually, it just hit me. The nails and the lips matched the book.
Yes.
Yep.
Details.
I love that.
Punk Pink.
I got my book.
So pink.
Crypto Pink. All right. Yeah, that's better.
Love the book. We're going to get to that in a second. You know, Matt, I want to ask you, like, how has it been since? Like, you know, obviously, like, you know, you guys sold the CryptoPunks IP to Yuga Labs, and we're going to get into that as well. But, you know, how's it been since? Like, what's Matt up to since?
You know, I don't know. You know, like, it's been real good, but it's like, I don't know. Like, it's been a weird time, like, trying to figure out what we want to do next. You know, I still see John all the time. We work together still, and it's just sort of figuring out, like, who are we now? What are we now? You know, like, what do we do next? What could possibly match this, you know, or even feel like a next chapter in this kind of thing, you know? So I feel like we'll get there. I feel like we'll figure it out, but it's taken longer than I was expecting, you know, like, it's been such a crazy ride. So yeah, that's kind of the short version of it, at least. You know?
So what are you up to these days? What have you been doing? Just living a life?
Yeah, you know, doing a little life living, but you know, yeah, we're still on the computers. Like, it's still just the two of us. Like, you know, we talk every day, like, you know, ideas and stuff, and then, like, you know, whatever, like, kind of, we work on tons of stuff at the same time, and just a little family time and things like that. You know, those kind of things you don't, you know, maybe get a little short shrift when you're like, and everything's nuts, you know. So that's been really nice too.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty insane, right? Like, what started just an idea, a free claim, in 2017 turned into, I think, one of the most iconic, you know, brands in the art world, not just NFTs, but art in general. You know, how do you see punks evolving from here? I mean, you know, today the Toledo Museum, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Acquisition from Toledo.
On chain,
Yep.
acquired a CryptoPunk,
Yeah, which is the step.
right? You did Centre Pompidou, which, being French, is like, you know, as big as it gets.
Yep.
I think what the IC in Miami last.
I see in Miami as well, yeah.
Where do you see punks go now?
Well, I think, you know, what's funny is, like, it was one of those things where it was sort of a small thing, and then it was like, oh, this is kind of working, and then it just, you know, it was quiet for like years, you know, 2018, 19, yeah, like, and so, but I still, like, I loved it. In fact, like, I found out what I loved about it during those times, you know. I loved, like, that it was, you know, people were really into it. I started being into it as a person who liked it, not as a creator, but as a person who was like, oh, I want that punk, you know, like, which is the craziest thing, like, to have, like, at one point, just have all these punks on your laptop. Like, I don't know. You know?
I go on the website every day. I'm not gonna lie, every day.
Yeah, and then we were like, I mean, and when we released it, I don't know, we got a few like Ether, you know, and we just kept it, you know, in a wallet, and then we're like, oh, you know what, like, I like that punk. Are we buying our own punks now? You know, like, and so for a while we were just like net buyers. We were like, wait, but it was that weird, like, it totally worked. Like, it was that weird thing where it's like, well, I mean, I know, I get it. I'm the guy who made it, but also that punk's pretty cool, you know, like, so it's like, we got to buy it, I think, you know? So I think that's like, it was that, but it was also like that crew that, like, that set of people who were super into it, even though it was like quiet, you know, there wasn't a lot of messages, but there was still a little bit of activity, you know, like, 2018, 2019, everybody would come in, hey, what's going on? You know, like, oh, this is cool. Yeah, that, you know. So it was like always worth it. Like, they would be like, oh, this is broken on the website. Yeah, I'll fix that, you know, or like, you know, so it was like, just felt like a cool thing to keep going. But none of that would have, like, you know, led to an imagination of, like, you know, museums and
$10 million Christie sale,
all that kind of thing. Like, that wasn't on the
So you did not expect that. Did you expect, when you created the punks, did you ever think that some guy would come in one day and spend $21 million on an alien punk?
No. No, of course. Back then I was like, yep.
I think 3 of them sold the cycle so far for like $10 million each.
No, I know. Yeah. And
never part of your crazy dreams, though?
No, of course not. No. And I thought, like, the reason the number was 10,000 partially was so that they would be cheap. Because we were like, oh, if we make it like a lot of them, you know, like, there's probably gonna be like 100 people into this, so they can have a bunch, you know, in the same way as you'd like have a sticker book with a bunch of stickers in it. You don't have 2 stickers, you know, like, you have a bunch of them and you trade some and you blah, blah, blah. And so for a little while, it was that, you know, it was like cheap. They were $20, $50 or whatever, you know?
They're free as crazy.
Yeah. But what I guess I really didn't realize that, like, oh, there's no cap on this. You know what I mean? Like, this is a worldwide thing. It's not like sticker books in like a playground. It's like anybody in the world. So then 10,000 felt big, and then 10,000 started to feel a little small. You know, so then it was like, oh, that's actually not that many, you know, like, and so, oh, and if this is a worldwide market that runs 24/7, which is a little bit new, then it's like, oh, yeah, this could really, yeah, I guess this is just a thing. I can remember walking, like, you know, during the pandemic and talking to my parents and, you know, trying to explain, like, hey, so this weird thing's happening. Remember that thing I made a while ago? Like, yeah, like they're worth like $1,000 each now, and they were like, are you okay? Like they had concern for me, you know, like, are you sure you know what you're like? What are you getting yourself into?
How did they feel now? Like this Thanksgiving dinner was like $150,000 floor on the punks. Like, you know?
No, you know what's funny is like, so you know, Yuga and Natalie did this book, and it was like, that was the moment where I think it became real for them. It was like, oh yeah, sure. Yes. And it was like pictures and a physical thing, and like, oh, somebody spent the time to cut down some trees, you know, and make like it weighs a bunch, it's hefty, and it's also like it's very considered, and there's like
let's
yeah. Yeah. So, and people,
fight
you know,
as well. Like it's not just
yeah.
Right? Come on. I have one. We can sign it later. This is insane. I mean, there's chats from 2017 in there. Like,
this is actually one of the crazy things about it is like the very start.
2017, an ape for a tiara.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you go back even more, like the very first page, like when we first set up the Discord, it's just me and John. Like it's just two of us. And I'm like, and we forgot that it was eventually going to be public. Definitely did not think it was going to be in a
The first page.
Yeah, the first page of a book. But even when I got the book and I opened it to that page, I was like,
selling punks doesn't work. That's not.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like it's also weird that there's this history, like this like public social history of this project, which feels like potentially a little unique, you know, like that the Discord with all its like ups and downs it now serves as like sort of a record of everything that happened. You
when
know?
we were doing the book, it was interesting because, you know, the typical approach to a book, which we didn't want to do, we wanted to be as weird and disruptive and unique as CryptoPunks are, would be to just have a timeline or something like that. But we wanted to tell the history of punk actually through the CryptoPunks who were living and breathing in that time. And these group chat Discord messages become this archive of what was happening and really how nobody had any idea, including you and John, you know, what this was going to be. And I think it's kind of a testament to the community that has shaped CryptoPunks in so many deep ways. Yeah.
So how has this collaboration been, right? Like obviously everybody has their own opinions of the acquisition. That's not what we're here to talk about, but I think it's pretty cool. I mean, I was early to Bored Apes, but not already CryptoPunks, but my first punk, I think 2021, as soon as I got into space, the first goal I had in mind was 1, become friends with D's, and 2, buy a CryptoPunk. And I got both. Boom. Right? Actually, he fronted me money for my third punk because I was away from my keys, and he just bought it for me on chain and then sent it to me. So it's pretty cool. So on chain it says D's bought it and then sent it to me. So how's this collaboration been between the two of you? Obviously, co-founder of the CryptoPunks with John, Yuga Labs. You guys came in 2021 inspired by CryptoPunks. I mean, Gordon and Garga have talked about this a lot. How the 10,000. I mean, you invented the whole 10,000 thing. So clearly it was inspired by them. How's this mingling been for the both of you?
For me, it's been great. I mean, I think
you're on a book tour right now.
Yeah.
I see you everywhere.
Yeah.
Al and I love mingling.
Yeah. I know. I mean,
but see, I want people to see this, you know?
Yeah. No,
I didn't feel it easier.
Yeah. And I mean, I like really appreciate that this exists, you know, and I didn't make this book, you know, like I did a couple things, but it was like Natalie and Yuga and the team, and like they put so much effort into it and put this time into it, and like I believe cut down the trees for it. I'm not sure. I believe that
Don't say that, they're gonna get in trouble for that too, man. Anything you say, brother, they're gonna.
So I have this thing to show to my mom, you know, like, and to show to my family. So it's like it's really been like this is the kind of thing I feel like that is the best for the CryptoPunks, you know?
I just think about it from your perspective, and I think it's so fascinating because you created such a culturally important collection and project, and, you know, we're here and we're stewarding it. But I've heard, like, you know, when you're in the world of branding, etc., you're never supposed to brand your own company. Like there's like this point where you kind of have to let it be a teenager and have an outside perspective. And, you know, we've talked about it a lot, how some of these outside perspectives, the way the community receives it in those early days, or now the way art historians and writers are reflecting back on the collection, it actually shifts the way that you know, think about it. But I mean, Matt Hall is my best boss I've ever had. So
I love that. I love that. Matt, what's your favorite punk trait?
I think I want to say cigarette. But I do like. What's that? Yeah. I'll say like my absolute. Is this like? Can I do this? My absolute favorite punk setup is like blonde wild hair, 3D glasses.
Yeah.
You know, like I think we have one of those left, but I would like we had a couple. Like at one point, I was like, oh, these are my favorite. Like I never really was much of like a rarity person. Like I was always an aesthetics person. And so when it was the early days were like very rarity driven, very algorithmic. Like,
but now it's like the hoodies, right? The hoodies are the most rare, but the most sought after.
Yep. So yeah. So
I mean, but it feels like it's sort of changed. Like it feels like aesthetics, people are wanting clean.
I think so.
Clean is
the clean premium.
The clean premium has
just how much I pay for mine. Jesus. But but what's your favorite trait, Natalie?
Well, of course I'm a fan of the Weldon goggles. But no,
They're great.
Honestly, I'm a really big fan of the wild white hair. I feel like it's a beautiful expression of the pixel language, and I think it kind of nods really accurately and beautifully to the video game roots that inspired the aesthetic. So I'm a wild white girl.
I love that. Actually, like I didn't think about asking this, but like what's up with the like? What are you thinking about on the Autoglyph side? Because Centre Pompidou, you've been doing a lot of museum efforts thanks to you guys, and I know you guys are helping a lot in the background talking about this. So you have the punks, but the Autoglyphs. So like, what are you guys thinking about it on that side?
What's interesting is like between the punks and the Autoglyphs, like when we talk to an institution, they're either like sort of they're wary of one and into the other. They're never really into both. Like Pompidou's an exception to that; they did both. But a lot of the time it's like, I don't know about that punks thing. Like it's kind of crazy over there. But I like this. I get it. Like Autoglyphs are like instruction art. It comes from this tradition, and it's all this. And or the other way, it's like, oh, well, it's a Warhol, it's a portrait, it's a thing or whatever. So we just like go with whichever conversation. We're like, it's something for everybody kind of.
No, I love it. I just remember this because I ran to Ovi outside and I remember that he bought a glyph and I was like, wait, let me ask him about the glyph real quick. I think Seed Phrase will be happy I asked that. So I want to ask, so what do you see the future of the punks like? And I would like for you to hear from the both of you. Obviously, you came together for this book. We announced our own, collaboration where my CryptoPunk is going to be the face of, Jacob & Co. watch, which I think is pretty cool. Like, I'm wearing the Tiffany pendant, which, was an awesome collaboration. I got the chance to buy one. We're now working on the Jacob & Co. Watch with M&X, where your punk is going to be inside the watch, and these are all big brands that clearly get it. They understand that the CryptoPunk is kind of the grail, but what do you want to see? Do you like seeing these collaborations? What do you think of that?
What I like is seeing all of it. Like this is like the crazy thing about like having this be a truly decentralized thing is that everybody's off doing their own thing, and it has like. And people cannot like it. People have opinions. I don't know if you know this. People in crypto have opinions, but it's...
Trust me. I hear all about you. Okay? I know you do too.
Yeah.
No,
that's part of it too. But it is really like it's beautiful chaos. It's like this thing. Yeah. So it's like, you're doing this and whatever. And so in the early days, like not really knowing like, what is the right thing to do here? Like, is this thing out of control in a bad way, or is this thing out of control in a good way? And it's only over time, like watching these things, like even things that don't work out is like, that didn't really hurt, like that. Somebody tried something, it didn't work. Who cares? And the things that work are awesome. So it's like, this is just how this works, and so when people ask me like, oh, what's it feel like? These things are going on. I'm like, I don't even feel like I'm watching too, like I'm finding out about this stuff at the same time you are, like it's this weird, cool, decentralized experiment that just keeps going, so.
Yeah, because you literally created a marketplace with no fees before it was a thing, right? And so it's not like you guys just seeing sales in real time, just like me. I got the CryptoPunks bought notifications on. I'm like, oh, free. I just come in free on every sale. You can have a $20 million punk sale. It's like Commander's free.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
right? So free. Come on.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty crazy. So what do you think, Natalie?
I would echo Matt's thoughts. I think that CryptoPunks are an evolving experiment, and you kind of have to embrace the chaos. And, you know, I said this earlier, you know, they're a very like-hearted but different-minded community. And if you...
I love them.
Yeah, and I love the community. And so, and I love that there's so much passion for what these CryptoPunks represent. I mean, on a personal level, I love to just make sure that the legacy is protected and make sure that we have that institutional recognition and really become part of the canon of digital art. That is something that I do feel that I can work towards daily. But then from there, I've accepted that this is one of like the craziest, most evolving performance art piece. It's a collection that changes with every purchase. And that is just such a fantastically mind-blowing concept when you really think about it.
So what would you like to see Yuga do next? What's like one thing that you're like, wow, we gotta make that happen for CryptoPunks?
Is this going to be in my performance review?
What's this is a live review of Natalie Stone
Yeah, I've got a binder
on
in
Rug
my house.
Radio. Yeah. So what is something that you think would be really cool for punks?
Well, you know what's funny is like I've switched from, there was a period of time where it was a very short term. It felt like a very short term time horizon where I was thinking about like, what are we doing today and what's going on this week and like what are people saying right now? And then now I realize that the time horizon is actually quite long, you know?
Hundreds of years.
Yeah.
Punk is going to my children.
Yeah. And in a way, like in a digital sense, that feels like pretty new. Like this is all from the last little while. Like it wasn't really possible to do that before, or at least it wasn't really possible to have that feeling that there was a permanence there. There was. So my time horizon immediately switched to like, and it's weird when it's happening, like when it's your thing. So people are like, oh, this is going to go in a museum. And I was like, are you sure about that? And then like, now that I'm sort of getting more used to that, it's like, oh, I get how this is working now, you know? So like a 20-year time frame is not too bad. And then like the time frame of my life and then beyond sort of starts to feel like a time frame to think about, you know? So what needs to happen right now, back to your question, is just more of what we're doing right now, I think, is institutional. Yes. And so like my experience with this book has been that I've been reading these essays in here and I've been learning about my own project from other people, which is what's been happening, honestly, throughout this whole process. Like I learned that this was considered art from other people, you know, like I didn't think that when I was making it, you know, with John. It was like, oh yeah, we're making this fun experiment and stuff, and then like, oh, this is actually like really, this is digital art, and this is, and so it's like that's been the story of this whole thing, is us learning from the reflections from people seeing what they see in it, you know, and so that's what this book has been a big part of too, I think.
How do people get their hands on the books? I'm assuming after this interview, people are gonna like, if you're not because I got one for
it's available on Fidon.com.
You can buy one.
Yeah, of course you can definitely buy one. And hopefully it will be on a bookshelf at your local bookstore somewhere too. We worked with Fidon so that it would be globally distributed.
And I would say it's very reasonably priced.
It's very reasonably priced. It's not free, but it's on.
Yeah. It's $100.
$100 to claim.
I know. I don't expect. I mean, if it was free, we would kind of be like,
If you get cold, you burn it. It's for heat, you know. Like even in that sense, it's worth it. It's worth the money.
I have a question for you, Matt. Do you consider yourself an artist?
Oh no.
Oh, I love this question.
I got you a question. I was worried about this when I came in here.
Because, like, you know, I get to interact with a lot of artists in this industry, Snowfro, to, you know, a few others. What are you?
This week, because we're in Art Week, I've been like, it's the easiest version of this is like, yeah, I'm an artist and this is what I mean. And then, but like sort of in a more general sense, like there's like a book, which is an interview with Kraftwerk, and you know, or so it's a book about Kraftwerk, but there's an interview in there, and like, are you guys musicians? Like, do you consider? No, we're technicians. Like we work, we go to work, and what we produce is music, you know. And so I feel a little bit more in that camp, you know, like I feel like we, you know, artist is like a self-assigned label, or like, I mean, I guess now it's, you know, somebody else can do it too, but I felt like we were just working on something and trying, and lots of failures. And so, and then this ended up crossing over into art. So like to, you know, yeah, it's simpler to say artist, but that's sort of the more nuanced version of how I feel about it.
So you're kind of like a founder artist. You're like a super chameleon or something.
No, I don't even know if you would be like founder. I feel like you're more, you're kind of just a maker.
But he's not really a founder of a...
No, none of it makes any sense. Like the label, you know, like It's what is it? Is it art? I don't know. Is it a crypto thing? Yeah, it's punk.
You're a punk. What do CryptoPunks mean to you? Why did you call them punks? What do they mean to you?
I think honestly, like if I'm thinking about the honest answer of why they're CryptoPunks, it was because we had, John was making the generator, and it was like they were like punk attributes work really well in pixel form. A red mohawk looks like a red mohawk and things like that. And so we didn't know what we were doing with it. And then, once we started reading about Ethereum, we're like, oh yeah, this could really work. So then it became CryptoPunks, but yeah.
That's pretty cool. Well, listen, I really appreciate it. I love that I got to finally interview you. I got my hands on Matt. I was like, he's at the party. I'm going to get out. Okay. We had a couple of drinks. I'm going to get Matt. But I really appreciate you guys. Big fan of the book. I love when I got mine. It was like something that meant a lot to me because, we love the digital, but let's be honest, we love a little physical, right? Like I love the fact that we're doing a watch. I love the necklace that Tiffany did. I love the book. I'm a big fan. Obviously, really appreciate Natalie and everything you guys do on your end to keep proliferating this brand. So big fan. Thank you very much for doing this. And
thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having us.